In Beats of Fate, the rise and ruin of an Afrobeats star, we follow the meteoric rise of Emike, a young musician from the streets of Lagos with undeniable talent and a love for music. Supported by his devoted girlfriend, Emike, they build his career together. But when fame, temptation, and betrayal creep in through the seductive Tasha, Mike's life spirals out of control. From stardom to addiction and heartbreak, the story explores the price of success, the weight of loyalty, and the devastating consequences of betrayal. Will redemption come too late, or will Emike find a way back from the edge? Emike, a young, hard-working 20-year-old, had always been different. Born into a family that could barely make ends meet, his only escape was music. In the bustling streets of Lagos, where dreams seemed both close and impossible, Emike would tap out beats on anything he could find: tables, old cans, even his own chest. His voice was a gift, raw and filled with passion. By the time he reached the University of Lagos, Emike had already built a reputation as the life of the boys' hostel. Late-night freestyle sessions and impromptu performances in campus halls made him a local star. But it wasn't until one fateful night that everything changed. Emike and his girlfriend Emike were at an Afrobeats concert in Unilag's main auditorium. Midway through his set, the headliner, a renowned Afrobeats star, asked if anyone in the crowd could match his energy. The boys in Emike's hostel started chanting his name, and before Emike could comprehend what was happening, he was pulled on stage. The musician dropped the mic. Emike took the mic and belted out a verse that sent the crowd into a frenzy. His voice, soulful, raw, and electric, lit up the auditorium. Even the Afrobeat star was blown away. As the night ended, the star leaned over to Emike and whispered, "I'll be in touch." Emike thought that moment was the beginning of something great. But days turned into weeks, and the call never came. He felt stuck. Despite the overwhelming buzz around campus, nothing was materializing. Emike had always been Emike's biggest fan. They had met during their first year at the university, both studying computer engineering. While Emike dreamt of the stage, Emike excelled academically. Their bond grew stronger, especially as Emike believed wholeheartedly in Emike's talent. Seeing Emike's frustration after the Afrobeat star's broken promise, Emike decided to take matters into her own hands. She knew her father had a savings fund for her that could be accessed for emergencies. To Emike, Emike's potential was just that, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that couldn't be wasted. Without hesitation, she took a loan from her father, unknowingly committing herself to a journey that would change everything. With the loan, they booked studio sessions, hired local producers, and began crafting Emike's first singles. Emike was missing classes frequently now, consumed by the studio life. But the sacrifices were paying off. His music was spreading like wildfire, first across Unilag, then to other universities. The name Emike was born, a combination of their names, a symbol of their partnership. Emike became his de facto manager, handling everything from bookings to social media. They were constantly on the road, performing at campus shows, student events, and private parties. They deferred their studies, determined to ride the wave of Emike's growing fame. The music industry was starting to take notice, and record labels began circling. It seemed like everything was aligning for them. Or so Emike thought. But as fame increased, so did the pressure. And soon cracks began to form in their seemingly perfect partnership. At one of Emike's performances in an upscale Lagos club, a woman named Tasha made her entrance. Tasha was a smooth-talking, high-profile PR executive who had worked with some of Nigeria's biggest names in entertainment. Her presence was commanding, her fashion impeccable, her words honeyed with promises of luxury, fame, and success beyond Emike's wildest dreams. She was unlike Emike. Where Emike was steady, supportive, and loyal, Tasha was bold, adventurous, and unapologetic about her ambitions. She saw potential in Emike, but more importantly, she saw an opportunity to mold him into something even bigger, under her control. That night, after a wildly successful performance, Tasha approached Emike. "You've got talent," she whispered into his ear, her breath laced with temptation, "but you need someone who knows how to take you to the next level. The kind of fame you're chasing isn't for amateurs." And frankly, your little inexperienced manager, she doesn't have what it takes." Mike was mesmerized. Tasha introduced him to a world of indulgence he hadn't known before. Luxury cars, VIP treatment at clubs, and access to industry elites. But her influence didn't stop there. Tasha began introducing him to drugs, starting with light pills to keep him energized during performances, then progressing to harder substances. As Tasha's hold on Mike deepened, Emike as a duo began to crumble. Emike started noticing the changes. He was distant, missing studio sessions, and increasingly erratic. He no longer spoke of their future together, but of his growing ambitions. Emike tried to confront him, but Emike brushed her off, insisting she was being paranoid. Tasha, on the other hand, continued her seduction, both personally and professionally. She had wormed her way into Emike's life, blurring the lines between business and pleasure. Soon their relationship moved beyond music. It wasn't long before Tasha became pregnant. This pregnancy was Tasha's ace, her way of solidifying her position in Emike's life. "I'm carrying your child, Mike. It's time for us to take control of your career. Fire Emike. She's holding you back, and we both know it." Tasha's words echoed in Mike's mind. Blinded by lust, drugs, and the fast life, he began to resent Emike. All her sacrifices she had made, deferring her studies, managing his career, standing by him, seemed like distant memories. In his clouded judgment, he began to believe that Tasha was right. Emike, the woman who had built him up, was now inexperienced and small-minded. One rainy night, Emike broke the news to Emike. "I'm sorry, Emike. You've done a lot for me, but I need to move in a different direction. I've signed with a new manager." He didn't mention that the new manager was Tasha or that she was pregnant. The devastation hit Emike like a punch to the gut. She had poured her life into Emike, believing that their love and partnership would last forever. She had sacrificed everything, her education, her family's loan, her future, for him. And now he was discarding her like she was nothing. "Is there someone else?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mike hesitated. It's just business." But Emike knew. She could see it in his eyes, the guilt that he tried to hide. Heartbroken and shattered, she walked out of his life, leaving behind the dreams they had once shared. With Emike gone, Tasha took full control of Emike's career. They initially made so much money as he belted out hits after hits. Emike tried so much to get Mike to repay the loan, but Tasha vehemently stood against it. She accused Emike of manipulating Mike's vulnerabilities when he had nothing and intended to cash in on his new wealth. Emike fell into depression, and her dad had to forgive the loan, just so his daughter could be well. For Emike, he grew bigger. He was the darling of Afrobeats across the continent. His songs played on every young person's lips, and he got bookings for almost every weekend. Tasha held his business tightly and had a son for him. She handled his finances too, which was a major reason why he refused to pay Emike back. But success and fame began to go bad as he fell deep into substance use. The drugs became a bigger part of his life, affecting his performance. He missed shows, and when he did show up, he was often incoherent on stage. The same fans who once screamed his name now whispered about his erratic behavior. Tasha, while pregnant with their second child, became more concerned about the money and fame than about Emike's well-being. As his star began to dim, her interest in him waned. She cared little about his addiction and more about securing her financial future. The record label, seeing Emike's downward spiral, dropped him. His name was plastered across tabloids, not for his music, but for his drug problems and his turbulent relationship with Tasha. Their affair became public, and the scandal rocked the entertainment world. Meanwhile, Tasha gave birth to their second child, but by then her grip on Emike was weakening. The money was drying up, and so was her patience. She left him, taking their children and whatever remained of his fortune. While Emike's life crumbled, Emike slowly rebuilt hers. She returned to the University of Lagos, re-enrolled in her computer engineering program, and graduated with honors. Though her heart had been broken, she found strength in the pieces. Her father's loan was still a burden. Even though the man had forgiven the loan, she still fell indebted to him. She managed to secure a job in the tech industry and slowly began paying off the debt. One day, during a casual lunch break at work, Emike overheard colleagues gossiping about Emike. He was barely performing anymore, reduced to small-time gigs in rundown bars, his career a shadow of its former self. She felt no joy in his fall, only sadness for what could have been. Emike reached out to Tasha many times just to see how she could help him get his life back on track. Tasha ignored all the messages. Her experience with Emike had made her even more sought after by artists looking for stardom. Emike was aware she had all the investments in Mike's name changed to her children's names so she could take them over. Emike no longer had any feelings for Mike but felt responsible for him. Tasha, however, kept frustrating her efforts and even sent thugs to beat her up one evening when she approached her for Emike's ass. Investments. They beat her so much that she fractured her jaw, eye socket and ankle. A blog got hold of the video and posted it with the label Emike's exes fight dirty over his investments. Tasha, being a PR guru, also exploited the opportunity. She paid influencers to further dirty Emike's legacy and highlight Emike as the bad person who was fighting to ruin Emike by taking all he had. Emike's life continued to spiral. One night, after a particularly disastrous performance in Ibadan, he overdosed on drugs and was rushed to the hospital. He survived, but his career didn't. A month after he was discharged, an anonymous fan booked him at a rehabilitation clinic. It was a cozy place and everything was paid for. Emike spent a full month in the clinic. While there, Tasha never went to visit. Instead, he saw her splashed all over the blogs and on social media attending premieres and shows with his children. He had never met the second child. After he got out of the rehab, he reached out to Tasha several times, even begged her through radio shows, but she didn't respond to him. His talent was still evident, but his opportunity and time as an artist was long gone. He tried to get a job as a radio DJ, but no station wanted to associate themselves with him. The industry had blacklisted him, and no one would help. There was little or nothing he could. One day, Emike took a road trip to Kano and boarded a bus going to Burkina Faso. While there, he called a popular radio show in Lagos. The presenter wanted to cut him off when she learned he was the one, but he begged and said he had something important to say. They allowed him, and he told the world, crying, how much he had messed up his chance, that he loved his children. Finally, he asked Emike and Tasha for forgiveness and said goodbye to his fans. That was the last time anyone heard from Emike. As Mike's tale ends, we're left to wonder, could he have made different choices? Was Tasha the true villain, or was Mike's downfall inevitable? And what would you have done if you were in Emike's shoes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.